Okay, what we got a head on? She's all torqued in. Obviously, got to put the push rods on. And again, somebody's screaming, "Wait, it's backwards! That's not..." Yeah, I know. I get it. So I kept track. This is the one that was on this side when I took it apart because the motor was spun 180 degrees around. So I'm not mixing them up. It doesn't really matter. This head could be on that side, but no, the head that came off of this side is going back on this side. And the head that comes off on this side is over there. So I separated them up. So this one went over that way and that one went that way, but the motor was 180 degrees around, so I didn't mix it up. So we got that one on. She's all torqued up. You ready to go? I actually have it turned around this way because we didn't check backlash yet, and we want to check our backlash, but I'll go ahead and slap the heads on. We'll check the backlash, and we'll get right into adjusting the valves. So let's get the other head on. Okay, whoops, finger in the way. All right, let me take a look down here. All right, we got this head on, and again, these push rods are down in their little socket, and actually it's handy for me to see this with the light because, yeah, we squirt some oil down there, you know, down into those sockets, and they're there, and you can see. So now we're just going to fit up those push rods and then snug the valve covers up. Again, I put some oil in here. Well, we'll do the lash here in a minute. Basically, you bring the motor around the top dead center plus 1/4 of an inch. And you set the valve lash at 5. Again, I went through how to do that in the previous video, so I'm not going to actually film setting the lash because it's really a pain in the butt. But we'll set the lash on these bad boys and get the valve covers buttoned up, and then that'll have both valve trains ready to go. And then it's just a matter of checking the end play and then going reverse ways, getting the rest of the motor back together. So we're moving along. I want to get these push rods in and set the lash, and then again, like I said, put the covers on, set the end play, or check the end play, and flip the motor around and start working on the front of it. That's it. Bye. Okay, and they're buttoned up. Valve stems are in. Okay, they're there. They turn. That's good. A little bit of oil on each one of them. Okay, and ignore what I said before. They don't matter. They do matter, okay? But they're also numbered, okay? If you see here, 1, 2, okay? You can screw it up, but not for long, because again, these heads are mirror images of each other. You can't mix them up. So again, what I was saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you can't put it on the wrong side. I mean, you kind of can, but no, you can't. The exhaust side is down on both sides. Exhaust. They got to point down towards the belly pan. And the intakes are on the top. So you can't screw it up too bad. But again, they are labeled. So one's on this side, two's on this side. And that's that. So you can generally see it couldn't have been mixed up. So, but we're buttoned up there. Again, we still finishing the lash, but we'll get the lash and then we'll do the end play down here. Okay, and the heads are on. Valve covers are on. Shimmed. Yes, I got the covers on. Okay, down there. So we're going to check that lash. Okay, just for you stare at purists, so you don't cry blasphemy. Here we go. So there we go. All right, we're set up for the end plate check. We're going to do it. Make sure we got a good focus here. And 23, thereabouts. Again, we changed the gasket, so we might get a different end plate. As long as it's within 30, we're fine. 23, repeatable. Sorry. Glasses keep on falling off my face. 0, 23. 0, 23. I'll live. Okay. That's the end play. Next we'll get the this shield, carburetor, governor bracket, and the exhaust pipes, and that's it. It's ready to go on the tractor. I just hope there still isn't standing water out there. Oops, I might have been covering the microphone. If I was, I'm sorry. And there I was covering the screen. So there we go. Heads are on, shields are on, end plate checked, and it's good. Next step. Lights, please. All right, all the shields are on. Carbs on. Fuel pump's hooked up. Everything's in there. The carb solenoid is on. There we go. There's some rags in there. Wiping. Just extra parts cleaner. It won't hurt nothing. Really, once the thing gets going. A little bit of parts cleaner here and there. Just, it'll dry out. Alright, there we go. So that's all buttoned up. And let's double check. There we go. The hose is in. And she's tidy. So she won't leak no more. Good. Yeah, it's in there securely. So I'm going to make sure that this air cleaner seats firmly on this so that there's no chance of air leaking in. And actually, when I thought about it, the only place it could ingest air is around this gasket. It really doesn't matter what the hell happens in the airbox, because, well, it does for the top of the airbox, but it has to get into the center area above the filter on the airbox to get into the motor. Yeah, because that has a... Yeah, this part here, see, there's a little bit of dirt in there. See the dirt in there? So I'm concerned that it might be sucking wind back here. And I'm going to check the lengths of these posts. They may be, you know what I mean? They may be a little long. We'll have to see. Once I get the cover and everything on, if there's a chance of this thing sucking wind at all when it's running, I mean, there's a little bit there. Looks like it might be sucking wind somehow. You know, you can see the characteristics of something that looks like flow. We just got to figure out how to keep the air out of the airbox. Or, I'm sorry, how to keep dirt out of the airbox. Well, that's the question. Did that blow up from the carburetor? Because that engine was running and it was sucking there. See, there's restriction in the filter, but that was unplugged. There's a huge vacuum leak. I'm wondering if this, you know, well, yeah, it still could pop back because, yeah, you can see even a little fuel splash here on the cover. So, and again, I'll run this through the parts cleaner, but I didn't do that yet. So there is some flow reversion, if you will, that comes up into the air cleaner housing. Most of the time it's a vacuum, but there's pulsing. So It's not impossible that that dirt got there from pulsing. I'm just going to have to keep an eye on it. If I start to see dirt inside this air cleaner after I clean it out really good, I'm going to have to figure out where the hell it's coming from and stop it. You know, the little nick there, I don't think that's enough to solve it. Another thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put grease on here. I'm going to put grease on this, and I'm going to put grease on the rubber on the filter, just to try and give it its best chance of sealing. It's really not so much grease for this, but grease for the rubber of the filter to keep it sealed. Because that's what we want to do. We want to have this firm, because that's where the air is coming into the engine. We need that to have a good seal around that. And then we got to keep the dirt out of this part of the box. As long as there's no dirt here, because the filter sits right on the other side of this. And it doesn't matter what happens on the other side of the filter or in the shroud. It only matters this little area up inside this cover. We got to keep dirt out of it and dirt out of that section. But there's definitely dirt there. There's not so much here, so I'm willing to believe that that came blasting out of there, but the dirt in here came from in there when the engine was just wide open to the environment. We'll see, but that's that. Next thing, we're going to spin it with no plugs in it, just to pump up the oil pressure for a minute, not even a minute, just, you know, good 10 cranks or something like that, just to make sure she's got good oil pressure. Go ahead and slap the plug, you know, and same thing with the fuel pump. We'll go ahead and get it hooked up to the tank, disconnect it right here, and let it run until fuel pops out of it, and then put the fuel line back on. Once we're happy with that, throw the plugs in it. Yeah, once I know that there's fuel in the carb and that we've spun it enough to get the oil moving, obviously we're going to put oil in the motor before we try and fire it up. So put it on the tractor, put oil in it, spin it without the plugs to make sure that there's oil pressure, spin it without the plugs again to make sure that fuel's flowing. Once we got fuel flow and we got oil pressure and we've given it a test spin, put the plugs back in and go. Pretty straightforward. All right, so that's that. Job is done-ish. And next will be outside. Okay, back to the scene of the crime. And there it is. And there that is. It's out of the basement. It's all put together. Ready to go. Again, we're going to slap it in a frame. We're going to do some quick pre-run tests. We're going to spin it with the plugs out of it until I believe that there's oil pressure. I'm going to disconnect the fuel line and make sure that there's fuel pressure. And once I'm happy about that, I'll put the plugs back in it and fire it up, obviously after we put some oil in it. Fire it up and see how she runs. So here we go. And just in case anybody was wondering, the river's gone, and you can see it's a little squishy right here, but there's no standing water anymore. So the water's gone. So some of the grass is laying down, but I should be able to get in here and knock it out. So there's no water here anymore. And it's looking pretty bushy, so I really got to get after it. It's been just about 2 weeks now since I mowed, so I should have gotten done with the mower faster. Just didn't work out. So there we go. So it's dry. I couldn't mow before because there was standing water back here, but it's dried out enough I can mow now. So we needs a mower.